Alright, so today I'm going to do analytical geometry. Right, so when you look at this question number 4, we can see that we have a diagram below that has a circle of x squared plus y squared that is equal to 16. So once you are given this equation of the circle, it means that your coordinate of the center are what? The coordinate of the center are 0, 2, 0. As you can see that your center there is O, and then the coordinate of the center will be 0, 2, 0. Then we have 16. Remember 16, it will represent your diameter. Then to get the radius, we just have to root this 16, and then you get your radius. So basically this 16 is your r squared, which is what? 16. And then when you root 16, we get the radius for which it will be 4. So basically your radius is 4, your diameter is 16. Alright. So they see this the circle is intersect at the straight line PQ, with your PQ, which is defined by 2x plus y that is equal to 4. So basically we're given the equation of straight lines PQ as 2x plus y that is equal to 4. At point P and Q, that are the point of your straight line PQ, as well as R is the x-intercept of PQ, meaning that in order to look for the coordinate of R, basically you're going to substitute your coordinate of R into the straight line of PQ, meaning that the coordinate of R now, because they say that is x-intercept, it means that the coordinate of R, it will be the xr, because x-intercept where y is equals to 0, meaning that we also have y0 there as our y value of R. Okay, now they say that in 4.1 we must show that the coordinate of P and Q that are 0 and 4, and 3, 2 and negative 2, 4 respectively, meaning that we need to get the coordinate of P and Q, right? But before you go on, you can see that in your diagram, your P, it is what? Or rather, what is important about P? Our P, you can see that it's a lie on y-axis, meaning that your x is 0. So basically your P, it is your y-intercept, where x is equals to 0. And also you can see that your P again is on the cycle of it's on the cycle, it's on the circumference of the cycle, meaning that in a way we can also use what equation of a cycle as well as the equation of what a straight line, because they are interact there, right? So basically you can see, alright, just because they interact, meaning that the P interact with what? The equation of the cycle, and now meaning that now let's fix the equation of PQ. They give us 2x plus y that is equals to 4. Then you're gonna say you must make y the subject of the formula, whereby you will transpose this negative 2x on another side, becomes negative. Then you have negative 2x plus 4, and that is your equation. And then from there you can see that equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared that is equals to 60, right? Now here you can see, okay, that is because they interact, meaning that I want to solve this one simultaneously. So meaning that my y, let's name this as my equation 1, this is my equation 2. But you can see that equation 1 has y that is equal to 2x plus 4, meaning that you can easily like substitute where you see y into equation 2. So basically you're gonna sub 1 into, or rather equation 1 into equation 2, for which equation 2 was x squared plus y squared that is equals to 16. And then when you substitute your y, you have what? Negative 2x plus 4 all squared that is equals to 16. right? Now let's break down this bracket. It means that you are gonna have x squared plus negative 2x plus 4 and then negative 2x plus 4, right? That is equals to 60. Then from there, let's simplify for method, meaning like let's put bracket here, negative 2x, let's start here, negative 2x multiplied by negative 2x, which you get positive. You get positive what? 4x. Then negative times positive 4, which you get negative. Then 2 times 4 is 8, for which you get negative what? Negative 8. Same as when you say 4 multiplied by negative 2x, still you get negative x, negative 8x, and then your 4 multiplied by 4, which is the positive, right? And then you get what? Positive 16. That is customer 16 on the other side. Then from there, you can see that okay, my like terms say it will be what? When you say negative 8 minus 8x, it means that you have to like add them. Take the sign and you add 8 plus 8. I will take the negative sign out and then you add 8 by 8. Then you get the word 16, for which it will be negative 16. And also, so let's say it's supposed to be 4x squared, because you say negative 2x multiplied by negative 2x. You will get what? 4x squared. Now this one is positive, meaning that this positive will not affect any sign here in that bracket, meaning that now your equation it will be like this: x squared plus 4x squared. Remember this like term, we added them, we say that it will give you negative 16x. Negative 16x plus 16, that is equals to 60. Then now we can see that now also we have still left like terms, for which it will be 5x squared minus 16x. Then you can transpose your 16 on the other side, for which is going to be negative, and you have what? 16 minus 16, for which it will be 0, right? Now here we have 5x squared minus 16x. So here we cannot divide by 5, right? So what you can do is just you can take x as a higher common factor, x. So if I take x in this term, I will left with 5x minus, right? If I take x in this side, I will have 16. That is equals to 0. Then from there, it means that your x is equals to 0, or your 5x is equals to 16 when you transpose this 16 on another side. Then you're going to divide by 5 and divide by 5, and then your x is equals to 16 over 5, for which your 16 over 5 it is equivalent in decimal, rather it is 3,2. So now we can see that now your x value is what? 0, and another x value is what? 3/2, I mean 3,2, for which are the coordinate of P and Q. Now to get the coordinate of y values of P and Q, basically you can go and substitute your x values to one of the equations. For instance, let's substitute x is equals to 0, x equals to 0 into, let's say 1, right? Because it's simple. So we say 1, that is equals to negative 2x plus 4, for which is it negative 2, where I see 0, I mean where I see x, I substitute 0, that I get, and then negative 2 times 0, 0, so it's 0 plus 4, 4. So meaning that now we have coordinate of 0 and 4, for which it will be 4 for P. Right, we found the coordinate of P. And then also, before I go on, also if you didn't use simultaneous equation, but even though you are going to have two values, but because of when you look at P, your P is like your y-intercept, meaning that you can easily substitute a 0, I mean x as 0 into your y, because because your P is what? Your y-intercept. Then you get the coordinate of y value. I mean y-intercept, of y value. Then from there, now let's look for the y value of point Q, meaning that I have to substitute this one, x, into the equation. So let's use this one as well. When you're gonna say, okay, now I'm substituting x, that is equals to 16 over 5 into y, that is equals to negative 2x plus 4, for which your y is what we are looking for, and it equals to negative 2 multiplied by 16 over 5 plus 4. Then your negative 2 times 16 over 5, you will get negative 32 over 5. Then you add it by 4, you are getting negative 12 over 4, for which it is equivalent to negative 2,4 in decimal, meaning that now our coordinate for Q now are equals to, let me write it in bracket, function, let me write it as 16 over 5 is to negative 12 over 4, for which rather we can see, okay, your Q, it will be 3,2 is to what? Negative 2,4. Now we found the coordinate of P and Q. So let's look at 4.2 that says that now the QO, it is produced, cuts the cycle at S. Determine the equation of the coordinate of S. So now now we can see that your QO cuts and produce what? And cuts the cycle at S. So it means that your O is a center, meaning that your OQ is the same as your OS, because this thing are the radius. So it means that you will use, like, let's say, eventually you have the coordinate of Q, which are, let me write it in decimal, is 3,2x0, right? And then you have your negative 2,4, right? And then 5, we said it's 0 to 0. So now, to get the coordinate of S, basically you're going to say, okay, now 3,2 to 0, what is the difference there? Which is 3,2, right? So it's either like you add 3,2. Then when you add 3,2 on this side, you get negative because it's on the negative x-axis. Then there you have what? Let me write the coordinate. Let me see 4.2 here. The coordinate of S, it will be negative 3,2 for the x value, right? Then you can see here at y value, still you're gonna have to what? The difference between Q and 0 is what? Negative 24, right? Meaning that you have to add another negative 2,4 on that side, for which as you can see that your y value, it will be positive, right? Meaning that you have 2,4. Now let's look at the other coordinate of S, by the way. So let's look at 4.3. It says that we must determine the equation of the circle with a center at R, right? So now our center is at R, right? It's like we have another circle which coordinate, which the center is at R and touches the y-axis. Now I made it simple for you. I put the circle in blue, as you can see. Now it means that our circle in blue, it will have a center of R, and you see that it touches the y-axis. So it means now if it touches the y-axis, it means that we have a point at the center, which you can normally find the point at the center as I indicated. However, the coordinate of R is x-intercept, meaning that to get the x-intercept, we're going to substitute in the equation of PQ to get the xp, the xr of the R. And you can see that we have another point which is 0 to 0, because they say that it touches the y-axis. So let me erase this part here. Alright, so now if it mean that now let's go and look for the coordinate of r. Let's go and look for the coordinate of r. So when you go and look for the coordinate of r, let me write it again. Remember that they say that it's x-intercept, meaning that we don't have the x value of r, but you do have the y value of r, which is 0, because x-intercept you say where x-intercept we are saying where y is equals to 0. Then remember that our equation for PQ in the form of y that is equals to negative 2x plus 4. Now we're looking for that thing for x, meaning that your y is equals to 0, that is equals to negative 2, then x of the x value of the r plus 4, for which you can transpose your 4, and then we have negative 4, that is equals to negative 2x. Okay, let me specify negative xr, right? And then you're going to divide by negative 2, then the x value of r, it will be positive 2, meaning that now the coordinate of r, it will be 2 is to 0, right? What else question am I saying by bit 2? Oh, it was saying that in 4.3 you must determine the equation of the circle with coordinate of r. Yes. Now to determine the equation of the circle, you know that you need the coordinate of the center, right? And also again you will go and need the radius, right? Meaning that to get the radius you can normally use the distance formula, because we have the coordinate 2 points there. So basically you can use a distance formula. So now we found the coordinate of the center, which is the r, as your 2 and 0. Now let's find the distance formula, because I said it means now you have 2 and 0, and remember at O, because they say that it charges the y-axis, so it means that now here we have the coordinate of 0 is to 0. So let's look for distance, the radius. Your radius say it will be equals to RO, for which you can find it as distance formula. So we can say R, the x value of R minus the x value of O all squared plus the y value of R minus the y value of O all squared, for which your x, the coordinate of x value of R, it will be 2 minus for the O, which is the O, I need to say the center, or the center of the big circle, yes, plus your yr, you say that is 0, and then your y of O is also 0, all squared. Then when you punch it in the calculator, you get a distance of 2, meaning that our radius is what? It is 2. Now we found our radius, we found the coordinate of the center, meaning that, remember the equation of the circle, it is x minus a all squared plus y minus b all squared is equals to r squared. Now the coordinate of your a, it will represent the x value of the center, which is 2. So in x minus 2 all squared plus y minus, and your b, it will represent the y value of the center, which is what? 0. Then say 0 all squared, that is equals to, and your r, we say that your r is what? It's 2, then again 2 all to the power of 2. And then you can see that here we have y, meaning that y minus 0 get y. Then you're gonna left with what? Y squared, right? And then it means now your equation, it will be x minus 2 all squared plus y squared, that is equals to, here it will be what? 4 to the power of 2, not 4 to the power of 2. 2 to the power of 2, you get 4. You get what? 4. Now, this is equation of your circle R. Okay. Then now, when you go and look at for the last question 4.4, it says that now we have to determine the distance between the centers. Remember, when you determine the distance between the centers, how you going to determine the the distance between the centers? You're gonna need the coordinate of the centers on both circles, right? So this is how we determine the distance of the between the centers of the circle, which we given x squared plus y squared, that is equals to 16, all right, which is the initial one that we were given there, and also we're given x minus 6 all squared plus y 2 minus y is equals to 12. But here you can see that we do know the x value of the center for the second circle, which is what, 6. But now the problem is here, how do we know the coordinate of the y value of that circle? Because you cannot say what is negative 1. So it means that in this way we can see that it means that now you must go and complete a square on that second equation of a circle, so that you can determine the distance between those two circles. I think that it is enough. So let's determine those equation of the circle. So we have x minus 6 all squared plus y squared minus y, that is equals to 12. Now it means that we have to complete a square, but now this section is fine, meaning that you're gonna look at shade, we're gonna complete shade in that section, right? So meaning that, let me write x minus 6 all squared plus y squared minus y, right? So when you complete the square, basically you're gonna add with your half of your coefficient of y, for which is what? 1, right? And that the coefficient you're gonna divide it by 2, right? And then all squared. Then also you're gonna do it, okay, let me edit it. You're gonna do it on another side, meaning that you're gonna add by the coefficient of y value, and also divide it by 2, and then also use all power to 2. Then from there, it means that, and also the sign here will be negative and negative, for which when we say negative to the power of 2, we get the positive answer, right? That is fine. But now that will be fine, meaning that you have x minus 6 all squared. Then now you're gonna say you're gonna take y, then the side of the coefficient of y, or the side that is in this bracket, which is negative, then you take the coefficient of y value divided by 2 to the power of 2. That is equals to this section doesn't matter, because we're looking for the coordinate of what? Of the center. So the circle center, it means that our coordinate is 6 is to 1 over 2. Let me see the second center, and we know the first one is 0 is to 0. So let's look for the distance formula for that. The x1 minus the x2 all squared plus y1 minus y2 all squared. So your x1, which is 0, minus your x2, it is 6 all squared, plus your y1, it is 0 minus 1 over 2 all squared. Then your distance formula, you are getting around the root of 145 divided by 2, for which is in decimal 6,02.